and gentlemen, boys and girls, Christmas came early to the SAP studios here in Hollywood, California. As always, it's your boy Dave Neal and Tasha Marie Courtney.
Hello.
Hey, Tasha.
I don't feel like Christmas came early. Christmas came right on time.
What is it, November 29th?
Everyone puts their tree up the day after Thanksgiving.
You said that with way too much confidence.
I'm telling you, that's the norm.
You know how many
anyone who puts up their tree late is abnormal.
You know how many single dads are out there just trying to make ends meet? It's, December 14th and they're looking for trees, and there's just, those fat 3-foot tall trees, and then these ugly, droopy,
Charlie Brown
Grinch,
Christmas trees.
Yeah. I was never an early tree guy. But of course, we're doing Christmas to a new level this year, staying in Los Angeles. My goals for you, Tasha, is to keep you so busy you don't cry because we're not with our family. That's really, I'm just going to throw the whole kitchen sink at you this holiday season.
Lots of Christmas cookies. We'll be baking a ton of Christmas cookies.
Yeah, you'll start to feel bad and I'll just slide Hungry Hippo style Christmas cookies.
Actually would be a really fun idea. We bought that Basset Hound cookie cutter, and we have yet to make Basset Hound shaped cookies. We should make a batch of like Basset Hound sugar cookies or maple cookies.
Well, I got those Christmas dog biscuits, so we can use the dog biscuit mix and make Boone his own. I don't know if Boone wants to eat.
You didn't even let me finish my idea before you stomped all over it with yours.
Okay, please finish.
We can put cute little Christmas sweaters on the Basset Hounds. We can get like an icing decorating kit and like draw little sweaters on them.
You know what's so funny? Have you ever seen the sketch on SNL, Sweaty Balls? Their family name is Schwetty, like Schwetty or something like that. But they call them like the Sweaty Balls, and they're like meatballs that they make. And it's like, oh, I'd love some of your sweaty balls. It's a whole thing, though. The whole thing is a play on the words. You know what I mean? It's like Anna Gasteyer. It's like old school. But it was the joke, other than the sweaty balls, was that they were in this like stupid public access studio. But we've kind of gone there as society, where everyone just produces their own stuff now. Like this is our public access
kitchen.
This is it. I mean, we went to Walmart on Small Business Saturday. We're trying our best.
Stop saying that.
If anyone wants to support small businesses, you can join our patreon.com/thesap. But we got, for the audio listeners, you better jump on the YouTube, because I'm showing off real colored lights. We got the big outdoor lights inside. I mean, it's I think
these look really nice. I think this is the perfect aesthetic of
And you know what's great about it is, yeah, you're right. SAP is very much
gaudy.
It is tacky,
unapologetic,
and no one wants to get sap on their fingers.
Not refined, not beautiful. We're not doing silver and gold on the SAP sign.
I'm against, because, and it's not that refined isn't authentic, but SAP, of course, was Sex Actually podcast before that for our diehard listeners. You Up the podcast, and but we shortened it to SAP because the SEX word is hard to gain traction on with the Puritan YouTube system that we use. But anyway, the idea behind it is, whenever things are like too refined, I feel like people are too worried about their image. They're too worried about this. That's not the real convo. The real convo is when you're having a Diet Dr. Pepper and just talking about life. So that's what we try and aim for. But yeah, if for those 1,000 or so people that only listen on the audio, go over to the YouTube. It's on my YouTube, Dave Neal, and check out what we're doing, because we got a 3-camera setup, and we're gonna add some more Christmas decorations. But we've got a Douglas fir.
Is that what this one is? I already forgot which kind.
This is a Douglas fir.
Are you positive?
Yeah, we drove an hour or so north of Los Angeles because my goal was to not get ripped off. My last thing I wanted was an overpriced tree. I'm all about fair price. If this is if it's $80, if the price is $80, I'll pay $80. But if the price is $80 and then you drive down the road with a tree on your hood and then you see a $60 tree, I'm so pissed. It's like that time we got that vegan pizza and you started adding all these toppings, and next thing you know, it was a $55 pizza. And then for the rest of the night, and it wasn't...
For the rest of your life, honey. For the rest of your life, you're going to be mad about that pizza.
Right. Oh, for sure. For sure. I could be a billionaire. $55. But for the rest of that night, it was like Little Caesars like was spending all of their ad money on me. Every 3 minutes was like, get your hot and ready Little Caesars. It's hot. It's ready. It's $5. It's cheesy. It's pepperoni. And I'm like, $55 to eat Daiya cheese, which is some form of plastic cheese.
No, it's not. It's made from mushrooms, I think.
So we went to Frosty's, which is in Valencia, which is where the Six Flags is, north of Los Angeles. On a normal non-pandemic year, it's about an hour and a half drive with traffic. We did it in probably 45. And they have a cut-your-own tree place. Now, of course, I come from the tutelage of Joel Littlefield's Shop and Chop, which is a Rhode Island-based. My old roommate in college had a cut-your-own Christmas tree down. And in Rhode Island, it was $35, any size. So if you saw a 22-foot tree you wanted, cut it down. You got to haul it out. It's yours. Bring a chainsaw, you know? And so we were like, all right, we'll go to the Chop and Chop place. It was like one of the only ones left in Southern California. Now, Frosty's. They've got the homegrown stuff. And again, I'm not blaming Frosty's. We live in Southern California. You don't grow Christmas trees at sea level.
I think it's just about the climate. Like, you can get that species of tree that looks like an evergreen, but it's not one of these. It doesn't smell like this bad boy. It smelled good. It smelled fresh, but that's the kind of tree that like doesn't require a lot of water and needs a ton of sunlight. It
was kind of like they were meant to be round shrubs, but they would try to cut them into the shape of a tree.
No.
You could kind of tell. I was like, this isn't it wasn't I don't know what it was, but it wasn't a Christmas tree. So what they do is they get you on the lot, and it's got thousands of 5-star reviews. I'm like, all right, this is the place to go. If we have to pay a little bit extra, we'll get to walk through it. At least we're not in some sort of parking lot where everything's pre-cut down at some Home Depot or whatever. All these brats running around.
And you don't know how long they've been there.
Yeah, and so it's kind of hokey. People, and it's so funny too, not just living in Los Angeles, but living in 2020. For someone to say Merry Christmas, it almost sounds like you're hearing a banned word.
Yeah, it was weird. I was startled when she waved us. When we pulled in, she waved at us. And I was like, oh shit. Like I rolled down the window thinking we were going to be like, you can't park here. Whatever it is.
My
and
brakes are going out.
Merry Christmas, welcome. And I was like,
whoa, lady, easy, pipe down. She said it with such confidence.
Can we just park anywhere?
And look, the war on Christmas was one of the initial things that got Trump elected, because everyone's like, oh, we got Trump out of office. Trump is a response to people that feel like they're having their holidays taken from them. They're this, they're that. I remember
the Starbucks Christmas cups.
Yeah, I remember so you say happy holidays to the wrong person, and they go, it's Merry Christmas. And you go, oh, Merry Christmas. I don't know. I don't care at all. But
happy holidays is so, most major religions have a holiday at this time of the year. So why would you risk saying the wrong one to someone when you could just say happy holidays if you don't know if they are Jewish or if they celebrate Kwanzaa or whatever?
And I think the point is, as I add some music to this Rodecaster Pro, I think the point is, this is the Christmas song you play when you're about to sneak around and eat some Christmas cookies late at night. This is
that sounds so good.
Tiptoeing, getting some eggnog and Christmas cookies. I just want kids so I can eat. But I would be the guy like Santa Claus. As the fake Santa Claus, you're supposed to leave some of the cookies, which I never understood. It's always
you can leave a few crumbs
Santa,
on the plate.
I'm not leaving anything. You know me. I'm eating all the cookies. I was saying I ate all the cookies. But anyway, I'm not saying that there is or isn't a war on Christmas, but I think it's one of those things that people put gas on the flame, and it's not really that big of a deal.
It's not really that big of a deal, and I think that's what the pandemic has proven this year, because I haven't heard a peep about the war on Christmas this year because everybody's too busy being mad about voter fraud and
people, my cousin Timmy grew up outside of Boston. Probably listens to more right-wing things because he's got conservative parents. So I remember when I said happy holidays or whatever, and he was like, it's Merry Christmas. And I was like, oh, what? Is this a thing that we're supposed to be? But that was 15 years ago.
I'm in one of the best Facebook groups. You want to know what it's called?
Yes.
When will my husband return from the war on Christmas? It's almost a Christmas meme.
What's the idea
really
about
fun.
it? It's just a fun Christmas?
Yeah, it's people screenshotting and reposting funny Christmas memes or Karens saying, it's Merry Christmas, or complaining about the Starbucks cups or whatever.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's like corporations are going to do whatever they can to sell advertising or to sell products to most people.
The holiday is already so secular.
Yeah.
And I guess that's probably like where it comes from. People like wanting to remember, like, let's keep the Christ in Christmas instead of like Xmas. Yeah. But like that's, you know, Christmas is not the only holiday. But I think they get mad about that.
That's what I talked about in the my latest private Patreon episode, patreon.com/thesap, patreon.com/thesap. That Thanksgiving has always been one of my favorite holidays because it really hasn't, I mean, other than maybe turkey sales going up in price, it's not as corporatized as so many, you know, it's not Easter with the 10-pound chocolate bunny. It's not this, it's not that. So I've always seen fraud, you know, when it's there and you go, oh, this is stupid.
Yeah, like your Halloween decorations sort of bleed into your Thanksgiving decorations. They just fall under the umbrella of fall.
Orange.
But you're right. You don't have to buy a specific candy, which is probably the thing you're mad at, except that you bought a whole jar of Santa Hershey's Kisses.
Yeah. Your boys got a blank check of chocolates.
My favorite are these peppermint barks, the dark chocolate peppermint barks. So
I would say my favorite, if anyone wants to send anything, and if we have any Australian listeners and you do a different Christmas chocolate, by all means, send us some of your foreign chocolates. We love a good Tim Tam. But my favorite was the almond kiss. That, my friend, is where it's at.
I was never into nuts in my chocolate.
Love a nut.
You know what I enjoyed? The Almond Joy, and I would not eat the almond. As a child, I would just eat the coconutty filling chocolate.
Who hurt you,
And
Tasha?
I would give away the almond.
You just would spit it into a spittoon like
give
you
it
were
to my
some
mom.
Western. Not in these parts, mister. So the Douglas fir is what we settled on, but my whole point was that you walk.
Are you sure this is a Douglas fir?
It's a Douglas fir. No, it's a noble fir.
I told you.
Oh boy,
You're wrong.
I gotta Google noble fir.
It's a noble fir.
Noble fir.
And it smells so delicious.
Well, they had noble firs and Douglas firs. They come from the Northwest.
Fraser firs.
Well, no, they didn't have any Fraser firs.
Fraser firs are the ones that you usually buy potted, I'm pretty sure.
A noble fir, also called red fir and Christmas tree, is a western North American fir native to the Cascade Range and Coast Range Mountains of extreme northwest California and western Oregon in Washington in the United States. I don't know too much about it, but we'll have to figure out what we need to do to keep this puppy alive because we got it late November.
It drinks a lot. So we got to water it every day.
Yeah, it's a big boy. We got a big boy. But anyway.
And we should probably get some more of that.
When it came to the bells and whistles, it was about a $140 tree. And that's just how it is. It's Los Angeles, folks. Once we were walking through the park.
Well, the tree itself was $89.95, right?
Well, the most expensive tree we saw was $600. We saw a $600 tree.
Yeah, that's insanity. You know what, though? After watching that, what was the name of that show on Netflix?
Mr.
Christmas something. It was like a holiday decorating show. The last episode was like this mansion, and you're like, why do these people need help decorating? They can't afford to hire a decorator. They literally live in like a Gatsby mansion. But they had a huge foyer, and they needed a huge tree for that foyer. And now seeing that $400, $500, $600 tree section at the place makes me want a house so big that I need to buy a $600 Christmas tree for it to look okay.
We talked about it. That's the goal is can I buy a $600 tree without it hurting me?
It's probably what, 20 feet? How big? How tall?
It wasn't even that big. It's probably like 16. It wasn't even that big. It's
but it was giant.
But like
I mean,
the
you would
prices
need
go up
10 friends to like hold hands around it.
The prices go up exponentially because they just become more rare, and these things are being shipped down, and it's a whole racket.
It smelled like heaven.
So I'm just the cheap person who buys we buy an $80 tree, and they're like, do you want us to cut it and put it in a little tree net? And I was like, sure. And then like a second later, I was like, how much is that? What's that going to cost? Like, I don't know the tree deal. I'm not like a tree.
Yeah,
I don't do Christmas tree economics. It's been a while. I don't think I've actually, I haven't, that's my first time buying like a proper Christmas tree.
Mine too.
Because it's always been family. And then, I lived in New York. I would always go home. I go home with your family.
We got our little plastic tree to hold us over.
Yeah, so this is our
Christmas.
First real Christmas tree. Do I have Christmas tree in here? I don't think I do. But got a little Christmas music for you. But so I'm like, all right, did they get you in the door at the $8 tree and then hit you with $50 for the netting? And I go, how much is it? And the guy goes, $2. I was like, yeah, get the net, put it in the net, and then you got to tip these guys because I worked in tree cutting back in the day, and they'll spend a little extra time nodding it to the roof. If you don't tip them right, that thing's getting left on Route 5 because we're driving 70 miles an hour down a highway once we get this thing home. But all things were a go. We played. I don't want to rile you up with this, Tasha, so let's just pleasantly go through this next topic. But we played with fire going to mega shopping stores on the weekend after Thanksgiving, and had an incident in the Krispy Kreme drive-thru.
I'm gonna be mad about this for the rest of my life.
I understand that, and my only anger is that. So what happened was, and very briefly, we're at a crowded intersection. We turn into Krispy Kreme. We're waiting, big long line. We just left a Walmart. It's a whole mess.
And you need to reiterate that this is a nuts intersection. The line, it's a stop sign intersection right after a light. If that gives people an idea. Everybody lives in a town where some poor city planner did a bad job, and there's a light, and then there's a stop sign intersection.
Is San Fernando Valley, California. This is one of the most crowded parts of the world.
Black Friday weekend shopping. So literally deals are going on. There's people everywhere. It's nuts. And so we're in this crazy 4-way intersection at a stop sign, and every lane is backed up. I mean, it's literally, how long did we wait before we even got up to the stop sign from the Walmart?
I'm trying to make this Krispy Kreme story quick, and you're giving a turn by turn.
Okay, well, because the truth of the matter is that we probably cut people in line. We had no idea. We didn't realize we cut people in line because there's no signage. It was just a crazy intersection. Why on earth would I think that everyone 2 intersections back is waiting to turn into the Krispy Kreme line?
And it
made zero sense.
The fact of my story that I like to portray is that I'm an optimistic guy. I'm a friendly guy. And we have a guy that pulls up to our left in a Dodge Charger, puts his window down, asks me to put mine down, and he sort of passive-aggressively tells me I've cut everybody.
Not passive-aggressively. Aggressively.
I wouldn't call it aggressive. It was kind of like, all right, he was like, what, are you going to cut everybody? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, the line was right there. And I go, that's the line, which is basically like from the highway around the corner. And if it is true, we did cut probably 25 cars, but either way,
or 10,
either way,
it was a really slow moving line.
My own tone by not even knowing should have alerted him to be like, oh, no, you cut the line. But instead it was like, all right, man, all right, cool, whatever. So you're just going to cut the line? I was like, nah, man, go in front of me. He goes, well, then you're going to cut everyone. Like he went on and on.
Yeah, we were berated by this stranger in the Krispy Kreme donut
and then I go to Tasha.
Over a completely innocent mistake. We had no idea. I mean, and I honestly, I'm not 100% sure that really is how it is, because it's a massive intersection, but I'm willing to be like, oh, everyone else knows that. Okay, or 99% of people know that. But it's also
it's a pandemic. Even if we parked our car and went into the other line, we'd have to wait all day. We had already gotten Taco Bell and Walmart. So for me, I'm like, look, I've got my fix. This is like a Seinfeld scene. This is like, some Krispy Kreme, George Costanza cut someone off. I mean, this is if something in your life compares to Seinfeld, you just need to get out of that situation.
I just pride myself on being a very conscientious person.
Yes.
This wasn't a situation where, looking back, I feel like we should have known. I still don't feel like that. I still don't feel like we should have known.
We tried our best.
I really would have had no idea that we did anything wrong or cut anybody in line. That didn't look like a line at all to me.
Now what happened was we had let him pass.
Now, say someone cuts in the in and out line, that's very obvious. In and out marks their line very obviously.
Right, they're very good
everyone knows where an in and out line starts.
No, but do you trust a donut that can't control their line? I don't want a donut.
Krispy Kreme's delicious.
Yeah, but if that Krispy Kreme can't control their line, I
never want to go to that Krispy Kreme ever again in my life.
And here's the deal.
It's probably the only one in California.
Here's the deal. I've never been to Krispy Kreme. And I didn't want my first experience to be me white-knuckled. Tainted. And know that the guy in front of me, asked the drive-thru people to, spit in our food.
My thought, though, was that we could just pay it forward and, buy some donuts for the 6 cars
You know what I
behind us
wanted to do? We had decided to leave. I said, look, Tasha, you know what? All this for some sugar, I love sugar, but I'm going to feel bad. It's not good food going into our body. We don't need it, X, Y, all these things. And I was like, look, it's not about letting someone else win. It's about removing your ego from the situation and going like, look, yeah, if I was the wrong guy, if I was some like dude who was like down on his luck, had nothing to lose, I might want to fight that guy. I mean, those could have been fighting words. What do I get out of that? Maybe I cut my finger and I got to go spend $10,000 or have a lawsuit.
No,
like, there's no upside, including waiting in line to eat the food to prove a point. So we got out. But honestly, the only thing I wish I would have done, because we had just bought 20 candy canes, I wish I would have gotten a candy cane out of the back and given it to the guy. Because obviously that guy is a lot.
Suffers.
And and I look at that guy
probably gets mad at every line he ever goes to.
Just beats his chick. I mean, like, oh, you cut in line? But I look at that guy and I go, that's just a dude. If I was playing baseball with him, we would have been buddies. Like, that's a guy I would have been friends with, my age, this and that. But in this scenario, we were the bad guy regardless of what we're going to do. Let's just go home. Let's go home. Let's not get all mad and then cause a fight. It's like when you stub your toe, don't have a bad day over it.
Here's where I still feel upset about the situation is it was a completely innocent mistake.
True.
And I'm not some dumb, oblivious person that walks around life cutting lines. We should
take a drone back to this intersection to show people.
Just how there's no way. Nobody knows. And that's probably why he's so mad, because probably people cut all the time and he doesn't have the opportunity to yell. He probably goes to that Krispy Kreme 5 days a week and gets mad every single time he's there because there's no way anybody besides a handful of people know that this is the way the line goes.
But you know exactly. You know when you look at an optical illusion, when you see the old lady in the thing, you can't unsee the old lady. From his angle, he might have seen a clear line, and then we putz up. With our, by the way, we just put Christmas decals on the windows. I made Tasha put Christmas decals on the windows, which are now on this window. So it's just some like cartoon reindeer and cartoon Rudolph that like a 2-year-old should have. And then those decals just cut him off in this old car. So look, I was reading about something the night before and I couldn't pull it up.
I guess you didn't let me finish my thought, so I just want to finish it. Is that I didn't feel like we deserved such a lashing over an innocent mistake when we were obviously bewildered by his attack and immediately offered to make it right how we could. I think when you realize that someone is bewildered and just made an innocent mistake, maybe you lay off with the verbal lashing and maybe you just let him stay in line instead of bullying someone out of line.
Of course, the response that would have worked from him is to state your case, oh, you cut people.
Do better next time. How about one of those?
And then he goes, dude, I get you, man. I understand. It sucks. Oh, yeah, fresh. I get it. Okay, cool, man. Yeah, just next time. Cool.
And how about Krispy Kreme? Make a lane.
Hey, no swearing, honey.
How about make a sign?
Wow, you riled her up. You
said, I don't know why you even brought it up. And not like I'm not going to suffer about this every shower I have for the rest of my life.
This is a shower problem that you have?
No, literally for the rest of my life, at the most inopportune moments, these feelings of shame, embarrassment, and anger are just going to bubble up. And I'm going to be consumed with feelings of guilt.
No.
About this is accidentally cutting in the Krispy Kreme line.
No, this is why we talk about it, and we're going to rewrite it because this is what we're going to do. We're going to go to another Krispy Kreme. We're going to give the waitress a nice tip, and we're going to buy donuts for the car behind us.
That sounds like a nice way to.
I called her a
better.
Waitress. I don't know whoever
drive-through
donut peddler. I want to shift for a second here. We've been making YouTube videos, trying to step up my game this year. Have you heard of Vlogmas?
Yeah, sort of.
December 1st to December 24th or 25th, a vlog a day. And I think once I decide I want to do something, it's hard to turn my back on it. And I think I'm going to do Vlogmas this year. It starts in 2 days.
Okay.
So
what are you going to vlog about?
I'm going to vlog about our Christmas decorating. I want to vlog about making Christmas food. And I want to include stand-up into it. I want to do some stand-up comedy about the Christmas season.
You're not going to run out of ideas? We already bought the tree and did all the decorating.
Yeah, well, that's the part we got, I don't know. But I don't know if it's going to go well. I don't know. It could be huge. And now the upside was, what if we become like a Christmas hit? then every year we get to do, because it's
I think it's the big YouTubers who do Vlogmas just because they're trying to reel in some ad spend.
That's what it originally was, but also it is a very searchable thing. So there is room for new content.
People who just love Christmas. Is it all Christmas themed or no? It's just vlogs.
It's vlogs, but it's
December, so it has some holidays.
Yeah. So my thought is, if it does well, then every year we can do fun things, because it's like, going to Dunkin' Donuts and trying all the new holiday themed beverages and fun stuff that we might not normally do, but would be fun Christmassy things. But obviously I'm stressed out of my mind, because I'm like, this is going to be a colossal amount of work. But secondly, unemployment runs out like the day after Christmas. So my thought was, if I can replace what should have been a stimulus check in December with ad revenue from Vlogmas, then it'll have worked itself out.
And we can hold on a little bit longer.
Yeah. So that's the thought.
Okay.
But it'll be a little nuts. But like I said, I don't know. Maybe Christmas is the angle. Maybe it's just the way the cowlick flows. Something about me, just vanilla white guy talking about Christmas. Maybe that's the thing that sends us over the edge.
I think you should do it. I think it's going to be great.
And you'll be a part of it.
I will.
You'll be a for sure. By the way, you as an engaged couple, you don't have your ring on. You're supposed to be flaunting that nonstop. You're supposed to be showering and sleeping.
At home. No, you're not supposed to shower or sleep with your rings on. You want to get stabbed in the eye?
I wanted to bring something up, and I don't want you to get upset about
this.
Oh
boy. No. Way to make sure that already my limbics are flared.
It's important to overcome previous traumas. Correct?
Sure.
Or else we'll just continuously feel like, if we don't overcome this Krispy Kreme trauma, we're going to keep feeling it every day. So like, there is this thing where we have to let go some of our past. I mean, I still cringe in my head, and I hate the word cringe, but I truly do cringe thinking of in 6th grade, I had a crush on this one girl, and I asked this other girl to dance, and I didn't realize they were sisters. And then they all like made fun of me after. Like, I still to this day, think, when I think about that, it vicariously hurts my soul, and it shouldn't. I should just call them up and be like, hey, in 6th grade, whatever. I don't know. But anyway, I'm in a subreddit called Waiting to Wed. Have I talked to you about this?
You may have mentioned.
So I joined this subreddit when I wrote an article on Medium called Why I Stopped Procrastinating My Proposal. And the idea behind it was a guy's point of view about why it can be so challenging and so much resistance to getting engaged. And in some scenarios, like my brother Jameson, he's 23 or 24. Jeez, I'm so sorry. I can't think off the top of my head. The older he is means the older I am. That's how it works. And he just got engaged. And that's insane to me. But also, like, I don't know, maybe like we don't live near home. Like, my mom sort of helped, like, showing me, like, you need to go look at diamond rings, but it's just not something the guy has ever usually done before. So I think it's
usually reflective of a person's like feeling about their own position in life. And I think Jameson probably feels very secure about his current position, his work. Like, he has a stable job.
Well,
he has
they got knocked up, so that throws all the things out the window. Like, it's like that.
When you
obviously
feel secure about where you are in life, it's very easy to make that next step.
Yeah. Now, of course, we didn't get engaged till maybe 5 years into our relationship, and I know
almost 6.
And I know that's been a problem for you, like a big deal for you, and I know it makes you in some ways feel like you're not as loved, and along with that, having been in this Waiting to Wed subreddit, the stories I see of women, and again, this is so gender specific. It's 100% women, so sad because their guy hasn't proposed yet. Oh, he promised to me. Oh, I look at his search history and he said he was going to. Oh, I thought like on our anniversary it was going to happen, and then they'll post a photo without the ring. I'm like, and again, it's not pathetic, but what is sad about it is it's such a control thing. It's such a lack of communication thing.
I want to step you back for a second because you said it's a gender thing, but we need to understand why it's a gender thing. There's a reason that there's only women being like, what the hell on this subreddit.
Because men trade a diamond for property. It goes back to...
Well, men are traditionally, in our culture, the ones who propose. Women can propose. in lesbian relationships, a woman obviously has to propose
on the second date. They have to do it on the second date.
Some progressive women might feel comfortable proposing.
So glad you didn't.
It's a much smaller percentage of our population that the woman wants to take the lead.
But it's worth talking about, and I understand, like, sometimes you want to just vent in a subreddit. I get that, but I wonder how many people don't like. We had probably a relatively healthy conversation about it. The main thing that prevented me from proposing earlier was a resistance, and the resistance caused primarily by not having my shit together. Now,
but here's why women feel sort of like slighted or betrayed by that is the right woman. If you love someone so much that you know you want to spend the rest of their life with them, here's what's going to happen. Either A, you're going to get your shit together, start saving, or at least set a savings plan together so that you can afford to buy a ring in the somewhat near future, or it's going to cause so much tension that she's going to break up with you or sabotage the relationship so you guys call it off together and leave you for somebody else. No woman wants to wait around for half a decade for a guy to clean up his act and get his shit together.
In our scenario, I don't look back with any regret that I played too many video games, that I bought too many fancy pairs of shoes. I mean, you could really, short of me just quitting on all of my dreams, and just like working extra hours. I mean, we're already talking about working 30 to 60 hours a week plus the 20, 30, 40 hours of unpaid work. So it's like, it was, and again, and in my instance, overcoming, 2 different car issues, which I should have had money in the first place. But regardless of the excuses, that's what it came down to. I didn't have the money, and it wasn't for lack of working hard. It was for just, I'm in a world where people that do what I do live out of their cars. They do what they can do to survive until they make...
the bar is so low doesn't, like, in the comparison game, that doesn't make a girl feel better.
It's not that the bar's low. It's that the business model is you probably won't get paid till you're the CEO. And I've done so many things that didn't reap rewards right away. Things even like YouTube and this podcast that are making money now.
But I don't think that, like... what you're saying is a good excuse, because in the vast majority of these situations, these women are being strung along. I see these same sort of questions posed in groups that I'm in as well. And my advice is always the same. If a man is not actively showing you that he is actively working towards a proposal, if it's something that's important to you, if you're in a relationship and you as a woman, marriage is important to you, because it's not necessarily the same for all women, but if you're in a relationship and you have expressed to the person that you're with that marriage is important to you,
you gotta let them know that.
Then no, but I think these women usually have by this point before they're venting about it to strangers.
That's the bare minimum. Is like,
have you had this conversation, and what has the response been? If that person doesn't prioritize marriage, or worse, for the person in the relationship doesn't ever want to be married because they have some sort of hang up about marriage, like their parents were divorced or whatever in their childhood, they strongly disagree with the idea of
That's
marriage.
A great point, though, that coming from, so many people in our generation come with parents that had shitty divorces or stayed together and it was horrible.
Yeah, and so there's a segment of the population that does not believe in the institution of marriage. But if you are somebody who marriage is very important to you, and you're in a relationship where you're not seeing these steps going in this... What was that?
I think the fridge just stopped.
Oh, the steps. You're not seeing things going in this direction. You need to have a conversation. You need to find out, are these not going in this direction just because he hasn't thought about it? Is it not going in this direction because he is opposed to marriage?
Right.
Or what's the deal? And once you have this conversation... In my mind, that should be a light switch for a dude. Like, oh my gosh, we've been together a couple of years now. I wasn't even thinking about marriage, but yeah, I guess, well, according to the timeline, I probably should start thinking about it. And that's when you make moves. And I don't believe that not having money for a ring is a valid excuse for not wanting to make a commitment, because it's as simple. I mean, listen, yes, there are a lot of people who are operating on shoestring budgets these days.
It's a raw deal out there. It's a raw deal. I mean, we live in Los Angeles, where it's like, where like there's 100,000 people that are willing to settle for jobs no one else would take because they're pursuing their dreams. So like you said, when you moved to LA, you couldn't even get a waitressing job.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm barely working minimum. I was barely working minimum wage, and there weren't many better options.
It is about priorities.
But you got to pay an agent to get background work. I mean, they really bend you over in this town, and it makes it so hard to get over that brick wall. So while and I know it sounds defensive, but I want you to feel better that while I wasn't necessarily putting money away, I cut crazy amounts of debt. I mean, I got debt fast when I moved out here. One car wreck, the other car died on the street, And
it's important to me to be in a relationship with a person who doesn't have mountains of debt. I think that's also something that should be discussed when you're thinking about marrying someone. It's you really should be open and honest about your finances.
My debt might have been small compared to others, but it was enough that like that needed to be covered to get to the next step. And I understand, and don't get me wrong, I understand you'll find excuses when...
But that's exactly it. That's exactly what I'm saying, is like any functioning adult manages to find a way to pay their internet bill every month, to pay their rent every month, to pay their credit card bill, to pay their car insurance, right? I mean,
you're right about you find the money.
You find a way to do it. So if in your mind you have decided, oh, I want to marry this woman, and oh, it's going to take X amount of dollars to get this person the ring of their dreams or a ring that they love, and there are tons of affordable options besides diamonds these days. I mean, traditionally, sapphires are the engagement ring. Tons of people do like moissanite rings.
And I had given you my Claddagh ring, which is the Gaelics engagement ring. But I hear your point. My point is that there needs to be that, and this is for all the ladies listening in the Waiting to Wed subreddit, is that with all that said, it's still a crazy thing. So the point that I got into all this was another dude had posted in the Waiting to Wed subreddit. I sound like Elmer Fudd. I'm just waiting to wed, and I commented on him. We had this little camaraderie, and I was like, yeah, man, this wedding industrial complex is insane. They do X, Y, and Z. He's like, I know, it's great, and we just go on and off, and it's like it's such a raw deal. It's not like we ever took a class in third grade on it. It's like I know more about planets. I know more about Pluto than I do about the 4 C's, okay? Like, you have to learn all these things, and you need a growth mindset, but it's such a barrier for guys and that's why diamonds are so overpriced, is because so many guys are like, you know what? Take my money. I don't even want to know. I don't want to look at any more rings.
You don't think that people are willing to like ask questions or to ask for help when they need it? You don't think they ask their moms? I feel like most guys ask their moms.
I think a good mom, like a good Jewish mother, sits their son down and goes, you're proposing to my mom's hands off. No, don't get me wrong. My mom was like, let me help you, Dave. And my stepdad Luke texted me after he took me to the World Series. When the Red Sox won the World Series against the Dodgers a couple years ago, any woman he's going to take to the World Series, you got to marry her. So like, and my stepdad doesn't text. That probably took him 2 days to send that text. It's got all typos and everything.
Are you getting teary-eyed?
I got teary-eyed. And it might be the chocolate meeting. But the point is there needs to be empathy for the other side. It is a crazy a decision a man has to make on his own. And some guys just show up like Gooch, right? Gooch got engaged and he didn't let me know. I was offended as a best friend. He didn't let me know he was going to I was telling everyone I'm bobbing the question. I got this. I need all my people to know of this decision, because to me it's like we make the decision. Of course I make the decision, but it's like my guys, my people need to, like, they're important to me. So
you want their support, you want their feedback, you want their suggestions. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's just not really a conversation that like dudes have, especially because it's normally only once in your life or twice, maybe 3 times.
I should start a subreddit. I should start a subreddit called Trying to Wed. And it's just guys, and we've talked about this in many different ways about
normalize the conversation. Yeah,
just to normalize, like, look, this is insane. Everyone's trying to rip me off. You know how long I'm going to go with squeaky brakes because I don't want to get ripped off? It's like, well, these brakes might be squeaky, but who knows what's on the other end of that mechanic? And that's what you do. I mean, look at my freaking tooth. I'm not going to show.
I had to literally ultimatum you to get you to the
I'm
dentist.
not going to show the audience this photo, but you would lose your lunch if you saw what happened to my tooth. I had to go, and it was, again, I couldn't afford it. So look, I'll tell you what. No, hold on. What did I get first? What did I get first? My cavities fixed or your diamond ring? You're welcome, folks. That's the episode. I mean, that's my part. Like,
No, but I think you need to be honest that that's reflective of an aspect of your personality, right? Like it's and it really comes back to priorities, and it comes back to budgeting. There's no reason, like going to the dentist once a year for a cleaning or every 6 months, I guess is what's recommended.
Now I know. I got Dr. Yang.
Way less than having to get teeth pulled.
No, but
and
it's not the price. It's not the price. So like knowing
it's maintenance.
Well, no, but you go, look, it comes down to your priorities. And by saying that, you're telling me, and like, okay, let's take us out of the equation. If I'm Betty and I go, if Joel wanted to marry me, he would. It's about priorities. Clearly, it's like you go from A to C. You go, oh, clearly he doesn't like me. So if he doesn't like me, that's why he's not doing it. No, you don't know.
He doesn't like you.
He doesn't know the path to get there. He doesn't know the path, and he needs to be guided either through a good friend, a dad, a mom.
Or by the woman that he's with in a relationship. And I think that you and I had this conversation, and I said, you know, us dating for 5 years makes me feel like you're not serious about the relationship. I very clearly spelled out to you how it made me feel. That, like, even though A doesn't necessarily equal G, like us not taking the next step, or me not knowing that you're actively taking steps to prepare for the next step, like saving $5 a week or something simple. You know, it can be as simple as saving $5 a week by like packing a lunch instead of buying a lunch at work or skipping a coffee. Like knowing that there's an actionable step makes all the difference, and making a girl feel secure in her relationship.
Right.
And that is usually the piece that's missing.
But honestly, I hear you. It's easy when you don't have control over something, and that's what it comes down to. This is what's so toxic about the power dynamic of the proposal. And I'm glad you didn't propose. But that's more of society, because God knows if there's a photo of you proposing to me and I'm like, I said yes, then society's like, look at this little bitch ass soy boy. You know what I mean? Absolutely. So anyway, yeah. So I get it all. But the point is that you know it's a control thing. And there was this thing about someone had mentioned H&M clothes and work boots as examples of like when like poor people are getting effed so much harder than ever before.
I literally
Did you see the thing about the work boots? How it's like if you buy these $20 work boots, you need to replace them every 10 months.
We must have read the same thing this morning. It's an old adage, and it's been reproduced in like newspapers over the years. But basically a person who like lives on a shoestring budget, who only makes, you know, $75 a month or something. This was written a long time ago. Can't afford a $50 pair of shoes, but they can save enough to afford a $30 pair of shoes. But the $30 pair of shoes won't even last 2 winters. The soles are going to wear thin. You're going to be able to feel the weather
so you're going to spend it's the cost of being poor.
Exactly. Over the course of your lifetime, that person spends hundreds of dollars on shoes versus the person who's able to spend $50 for the sturdy, nice pair of boots in the first place that last a decade.
And it's like getting over your debt. You know, you're spending $50 a month on just your interest on a credit card versus the guy who can just pay it off every month.
Even simple things like toilet paper. To buy a single roll of toilet paper, this is a more modern example, might cost like $1.10 or something like that if you can only afford that in your budget. To buy your toilet paper on a weekly basis or whatever, versus going to Costco and buying the 48 pack where it's 30 cents a roll.
Yeah. It's about purchasing power, and when you accrue wealth, you can make better decisions. You can think ahead. I mean, I used to be afraid to pay my bills. Now I've gotten to a place where I've been more like sort of I've gotten out of the deep end. And when you get out of the deep end, you can make smarter decisions. You can start going to the dentist, which is cheaper than the emergency, getting your tooth pulled, in Mexico or whatever. That actually would probably be cheaper. But yeah, so with all that, I mean, it's something, you got to look at as like the compassion to know that we're all in different places. Like I hope you, and again, I know when you get upset, I know it still bothers you, but I hope you realize, like, remember those mornings I would like go to bed already dressed and wake up at like 4 a.m. and just go to Uber. And then I would work 55 hours a week until literally I was like, I can't believe I didn't wreck my car doing that. And then, of course, what happens, 10 a.m. on a Monday when I'm wide awake, I get sideswiped. And that turns into a 4-year lawyer trial that just got settled. So while I wasn't saving all this money, I was like, I put all my money into getting a new car on a credit card because I had to have that car to keep on working. And you for like a week or two, let me borrow your car. And then as a guy, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? On one end, I'm working towards what is so much bigger than an hourly check, what is so much bigger, having the flexibility and the free time to create, which I'm worth so much more as someone who's like needs the free time to write a screenplay. But on the other end, I'm like freezing my ass off, which sounds weird for people that don't know Southern California, but how many nights did I come home frozen because I'm working in a golf cart? They fire me during a pandemic and don't bring me back. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. I'm making choices that put me first. And it sounds selfish, but like everyone needs to learn to make choices that put themselves first. No corporation, no matter how good your health insurance, is going to care about you
and them and their family.
Of course. But what, even I had that YouTube video go viral, made $4,000. I mean, that took me. I could have made that in a lunch break on my other $20 an hour job on a good day, minimum wage plus tips. So like the idea that like we're so short-sighted when we're just trying to survive, that the second I have a little bit more free time, I start making some content I'm proud of, and it's like, don't rent out your time. It goes through the roof.
It's such a delicate balance. And I think that's what's important to like reiterate to our audience when we talk about this kind of stuff, because so many people will just preach the sort of like Marianne Williamson mumbo jumbo that's like, oh, just follow your dreams. Or like you always say, leap and the net will appear. And while those are important, while those are vital to actually like creating like the life of your dreams, I think it's also important to keep in perspective just how challenging it can be, just how challenging it's likely to be. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you're going to put in 80 hours a week of work instead of 40. You're going to have 90% rejections and 10% of like acceptance or approval when you're pitching clients or whatever you're doing. I mean, it's a ton more failures than successes, especially in your first few years until you get your footing. And so to be realistic about creating the life of your dreams and building the career of your dreams or whatever, you need to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. I think that like what's missing in a lot of the sort of like spiritual stuff is this like preparation for tough times. Like right. People should know that there's a lot of grit required here. There's a lot of grit required, and it is, and making a budget where like you manage your very limited resources is a part of that.
Yeah, it's about knowing you can't possibly succeed at the things you want to do creatively or otherwise if you're worried about paying other bills. So like there is a delicate balance between surviving until you can monetize what it is you're worth doing, but also putting as much creative energy and love into what it is you're doing, because love is the highest frequency. So when you can do everything with love, you will get those returns. Yeah, but you still need time to perfect what's in here,
Yeah, it's about like how many hours, what's the bare minimum of hours of side job I can do to get my bills covered while I pursue this passion project that's not going to pay me at all. But it is a delicate balance, because you don't want to be so burned out on your side job hours that you don't have the creative energy left over for that creative output.
This is what Los Angeles did to me. It churned me I was running. I needed an oil change. I was burning hot. And and the first thing that goes creatively, if you don't have your sleep, if you don't have the time to live between the lines, we're doing jazz, folks. You don't hit the lines. You dance around the notes. The time I need to be creative disappears when I'm overworked in other ways. Very delicate balance.
Same for me. I when I'm not enough sleep, if I don't feel well because I'm doing some sort of Lyme treatment that's making me feel shitty, or if my body is physically exhausted because my job is very physically demanding, those things are going to completely derail my ability to like put forth creative effort when it comes to like the blog or whatever
This
else.
is where I can't possibly understand like what you go through, but dealing with Lyme, a cousin to malaria, neurological, you woke up the other day with like sweat, like you were a boxer. You just had sweat through your shirt.
I know, it was gross.
You take all these pills. Half this stuff isn't even, covered in any sort of ways. And you're fighting for your life. Not in a way that's like some people are fighting, but in a invisible disease that they can't just lop off like a tumor. It's deep. It's a battle. And I've read about, if can flare your OCD or your anxiety. So like you need everything in the world to be under control because you can't control your Lyme. And then there I am, another thing you can't control. So it's about living with it all. But like I said, I ask people in the Waiting to Wed subreddit to like give, put yourselves in their shoes, have the conversation. If you think you've gotten through to that person, and sometimes it's like, like in advertising, you got to sell someone a product 15 times for them to buy it.
Yeah,
you got to just talk to these people.
But you also got to understand that like as a woman, women just have the reputation so like throughout society of being nags. Like no woman wants to have to nag the person that she loves into declaring their love for her or like loving her back. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to have that conversation. But obviously it's important to have, hey, this is a priority for me. We've been together a long time. If you're not thinking that this is something that you want, I think you need to let me know because, this doesn't spell compatibility.
And we've had discussions where we've talked to each other. You've been like, hey, are you with me on X, Y, and Z? And it's always been, yeah. And I guess for me, I'm kind of one of those like grit and balls type of guy. I really am. I'm a grit and balls type of guy. I'm going to go try to figure it out. And I've asked you for a lot of faith, and sometimes I deliver, sometimes I don't. It's almost like when things do deliver, I almost don't give myself any credit. I'm very hard on myself. But anyway, it's been a weird year. I've talked on other podcasts and episodes about the game show that I've had to do. So the fact that like in our city at least we're at a crazy high level of unemployment because of the pandemic, and
hospitalizations are at an all-time high
and
too.
all that and and all these things, and the fact that I got to go on a game show to try to make it big, and the best thing that happened to me was that a YouTube video took off. I mean, it's a real sad state for the world, but it might be that extra gumption and that extra free time that has got me some more creative traction. But we'll see. I'm going to try the vlog Christmas, and we'll see. I'm just going to try to keep sharing my story. A lot of drone shots, folks.
Your favorite thing.
This is how, and we got to get out of here in a minute. This is how I know you still have residual trust issues with me. Tell me, this is it. The second I'm going to mention what I'm about to mention, everyone's going to know you got some problems.
What about your problems? Can we put your problems on display for a minute?
We bought a noble fir 8-foot tree. We got it the day after Thanksgiving, right? We got it at Good Friday, whatever, the Black Friday. What did you dream about last night? Share your dream. You're laughing. What was your dream? You woke up mad at me. Every guy knows they've woke up to their girl being mad at them for some dream they had, some concoction they dreamt up in their head.
I dreamt that you decided that the tree was dried out, that it hadn't got enough water. So in order to save the tree, you had to cut it off. And the bit that you left me with was like a 2-foot tree. And I was so angry that you ruined our Christmas tree by cutting it in half.
Why would I cut the tree in half, honey?
I don't know, babe. Sometimes you do shit without asking me.
So because you can't control me, you think I would go out of my way to take a $140 Christmas tree. Does sound a lot better with this music.
It gets a lot. Every time you mention how much this tree costs, it gets more expensive. It was $89.95.
Yeah, but when you add in
the stand and the cut and the net and the tax and the
tipping them, probably $150 actually. Gas. $150. We got to keep. My thing is, I don't want to spend more than $2 a day on a tree. So we need to keep this tree up for 75 days. Okay, this tree needs to stay up for 2.5 months.
It's not staying up for 2.5 months. How much is it per day?
But honestly,
we need to buy one more bottle of that little tree preserver, and we can just put in tree preserver once a week.
If anyone has any tips on how to prolong the life of a tree, we're trying to make this tree work for 2021. We're trying to, slide this tree through the spring, have a good summer, maybe next fall. Who knows?
When we have a house, you can just get one of those trees that is like in a planter that
wheels
in and wheels out.
No. Here's what you have to do. You need to get a tree that is like an 8-foot tall Christmas tree. If you actually had one, it would have to be like forklifted in, which is fine because
you can get those pots that have wheels, honey.
But you would need like a pot this big, which is probably like some light sort of forklift. Trust me, I'm gonna dad the hell out of this thing. You got it because then you want to be able to drop it back into the ground.
No, just put it on the patio. It can just be like a tree that lives in a planter.
Either way, donate to the Patreon, folks. We're trying to get a mansion so Tasha can live her dreams. But do you what would you water down? Where would you boil down that nightmare scenario where I cut off the tree and you were left with only a stump of a tree? Like what is that? Have you been wronged? Is it me? Is it exes? What is it?
I don't know, honey. But I do know that I asked you to buy us a fake tree a couple years ago when I was too busy. This was like my busiest year ever when I was literally working till like 7, 8 p.m. doing fittings. And then I would come home and live stream for 2 hours a night. Yeah,
but you know what? You had to live stream 30 hours a week. I had to do 50 hours a week. And you didn't hear boo from me.
In the midst of Lyme treatment and all sorts of other bull, I was so exhausted. This is the most tired I've ever been in my entire life.
I went to the store.
And you went and got a tiny tree.
You got a problem with that tree? Should I bring it in here?
I asked for a normal tree. I just asked for a just get a fake Christmas tree. One of those tall, skinny ones. Fine.
We got to know where to put it. That's why we got the real trees. At least we can just throw this thing out at the end of the day. So
maybe that's where my dream come from.
I mean, I'm looking at these ornaments going, we can't vacuum seal like everything we own. Like we just bought a new IKEA bed where that pops open like a hungry hippo, so you can store things inside of it, like almost like a Murphy, the opposite of a Murphy bed, right? Or no, what just it's like a trunk.
Hydraulic lift.
Yeah, it's a hydraulic lift. We don't have room for one of those ornaments. I mean, I'm gonna literally break all of those to get them. Like we're just.
Luckily, the vast majority of these are plastic and cheap. There's only a few delicate ones.
How is there not a company? How is there not a company? This might be too good to even share, where you rent Christmas ornaments and return them.
There might be.
Like the black tux, where you rent a tux and return it. How does this not exist? Where you pick what type of tree you want.
You could send it to you. You could pick your color scheme. You could say silver and gold, neutrals.
That's
star
it, folks.
Theme.
We're billionaires now. Tasha's gonna get her own tree. That's it. We got to go. I think that's. I mean, maybe that exists. Would people do that? Every year you get a new, different tree. You get to unbox all your ornaments, whatever. I mean, I'd pay $50 for that. You don't have to worry about them. $50, you get a new tree, you get the lights, and then you just they all come in a thing and you return it.
If you're getting a tree with it, you're not paying $50. But
no. Maybe it's not a tree. Maybe no. I don't think it comes with a tree. I think it's just ornaments. It's gonna be the
ornament rental.
What's the blue apron? The blue ornament.
They have that for furniture for your apartment.
If anyone out there
your furniture
has a they do it for clothes, right? What's the clothing website called that does it? Where you rent clothes and you just return them when you're done with them.
Rent the runway.
Yeah, it's rent the ornament. Oh, we got something, baby. We're on to this. We got to get out of here. So Tasha has been compiling an insane list of the best, worst, and mediocre Christmas movies, holiday films.
I actually have 3 to update.
We are to.travels.com. Did I say that right? We are to.travels. You can go on there and you can see she's got a blog that's a gift guide, which has some great gifts if people need some, gifting.
And I will be updating it. I took a break this weekend because I was a little burnt out with all the Black Friday sales and stuff, but I will be updating with sales and throughout December.
So you got that. You got like I said, the holiday movies and a list of where to stream them all, which is really good because there's some good ones. Since we did that, we saw A Christmas in Mississippi. That was awesome. That was my favorite, and it wasn't a high budget film. I loved that movie. The one we just saw. What was the one we saw yesterday? I really liked that.
12 Pups of Christmas.
I liked 12 Pups of Christmas. They actually pulled it off.
We finally watched Die Hard, which I don't think I had ever seen. Die Hard. I had heard of it. I knew it was a Christmas movie, but I don't think I had ever watched it, except I fell asleep for the climax. So I got to watch the last 5 minutes tonight. And what was the one from Hulu? I can't remember the name of it, from a couple days ago with Kristen Stewart.
Oh, you better look that up.
It's on my phone, so I would have to stand up to go
I'll look
get
it up for a second, but you just quickly describe what it is.
I screenshot it. It's just a really good. I mean, as I was watching it, you fell asleep, but we may have had edibles that night, which I feel like sometimes colors my interpretation of a movie.
Happiest season.
85%
on Rotten Tomatoes. You
on
get above
Hulu.
a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes for a Christmas movie. It's pretty good.
Really good. I was like, is this a 5-star? As I sit there and I watch these movies, I'm trying to give it a star rating or a Christmas tree rating
1
for
to
the
5
blog.
candy canes.
It's Christmas trees. It's 1 to 5 Christmas trees. And I was like, this is either a 4.5 or a 5. It had like 2 scenes. Definitely one scene that I can remember that was like a little weird. Like the tone of the scene was off from the rest of the movie. But overall, it was a really good movie with really good acting and a really like unique story that hasn't really been told on TV.
I'll give the log line. So this is Tasha's pick of the week, you could say.
Yeah,
a young woman with a plan to propose to her girlfriend while at her family's annual holiday party discovers her partner hasn't yet come out to her conservative parents. Hey, very interesting. Speaking of proposal, so very interesting.
A really good movie.
Yeah,
I think it's a 5-star. Is it a 4.5 or a 5-star?
You don't see many lesbian Christmas movies.
It's a really good movie.
I ate an edible and passed out, honey. It was good. I liked it. I just passed out. I got comfy on the couch. I was on the, So anyway, that was your pick and mine. The pups, the 12 pups, and then the, I think a Christmas in Mississippi might be my favorite so far. It had Mississippi Southerners. It had a fantastical part with the Santa Claus. I like it when there's a little bit of a fantasy.
And it was good acting, and it wasn't, some of those like lower budget Christmas movies, those TV movies can be a little like, I don't know, loose with their storyline. They take a lot of leaps. That one was really good.
I can't watch a Christmas movie unless I want to watch the leads have sex. If I don't want to, if I'm walking by a window and the leads are having sex and I don't want to watch it, I'm not going to like the movie. I have to be physically attracted to the man and the women, or the woman and the woman.
Rude.
That's very important to my value system.
No, I think what you're trying to say and failing at is that you want the leads to have chemistry. You want to feel some chemistry. You want to feel some sexual tension when you watch a movie.
Yeah, what Tasha said, sure. But if I was walking by a window, I would look. I would look in.
Sometimes you watch a movie and you can tell that the lead actress hates the lead actor. And
if we're staying in a hotel
it's not
and
believable.
We can hear people having sex, you can either turn up the TV or turn it down. I want to be able to turn it down and listen. I want a cup next door and say, what's going on over there? Anyway, folks, we're going to get out of here. So check out my YouTube. Please check out Vlogmas. If you're listening to this, I've probably already begun. Starting Tuesday, December 1st, I'm going to be releasing 25 straight days of vlogs,
there
Christmas
goes my
related.
December. Honey, this better...
Yeah.
All of these vlogs better be related to making this the best December I've ever had. I'm just letting you know. Well, I don't need to be residual stressed from your Vlogmas.
This could be it. This could be the big thing. This is it, folks. All right, we have to get out of here. But anyway, thank you guys so much for always being so supportive. And again, if it is in your heart and you do want to support us with the Patreon, we do appreciate all of our Patreon members. It's the biggest it's ever been. We've got people that have been very supportive, and we also got a giant batch of soap that we are going to be selling select amounts. We've got a lot of people asking about this. We're probably only going to sell like 10 or 15 batches. We made a lot of soap, but we have a lot, of family and stuff to give away.
The other thing to remember is that we only made it. Well, now it's December, honey, in 2 days. So that last batch we want to make, we need to hurry up and make. But this normally soap is supposed to sit and cure for 6 months, and so this is very fresh soap. So even though people are wanting this soap now, this shouldn't really be used right away.
Well, they can let the aroma seep through their house as they wait for the soap to harden.
It can be decorative soap for a month or two.
Just for a month, let it be decorative, or else it's gonna melt on you. It's not like it's poisonous or anything. It just goes from soft to hard. It just hardens and it lasts longer. It doesn't wash away as fast. Anyway, that's the episode. Follow Tasha at Instagram at Tasha Courtney. I'm at D Neals on Instagram.
And please check out my gift guide that's on the blog, and feel free to bookmark it and check back later because I'm gonna be updating with like more current coupon codes and sales as they come up.
That's it, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, everybody.